GOP national spokeswoman Elizabeth Pipko. Elizabeth, thank you for joining us on Power Hour. Now, we know Trump's entertaining, he's certainly direct, and we're seeing him snap right back at reporters. Here he is shutting down a reporter that suggested people might be worried that Trump may be targeting them.
What do you say to people who worry that targeting an individual firm or individuals who, aren't Jack Smith?
Excuse me, I've been targeted for 4 years, longer than that. So you don't tell me about targeting. I was the target of corrupt politicians for 4 years, and then 4 years after that. So don't talk to me about targeting.
He's 100% right about being targeted. I think if anyone knows what that's like, it's certainly President Trump. But I actually speak as someone who was also targeted, right? Me, my own family were also targeted just for being associated with Donald Trump. So I can only imagine what he went through. I know from being kind of an observer on the front line, seeing what him and his family went through. But he was, in fact, targeted because people were so afraid of what could happen if he got back into the White House.
Well, Kash Patel is now the head of the FBI, and he's been pretty ruthless speaking about them and how the FBI needs to be certainly looked into. But let's look at what Senator Chuck Schumer had to say in 2017, warning against those who want to look into intelligence agencies, suggesting that by looking into them, there could be some sort of revenge.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
What do you think the intelligence community would do if they were motivated?
I don't know, but from what I am told, they are very upset with how he has treated them and talked about them.
That was in 2017. It certainly hasn't aged well. It just makes you wonder why he's against intelligence agencies being looked into.
You're right. And it certainly has not aged well. You know the saying, when people show you who you are, believe them, right? That is the perfect example of what's going on here. This was Senator Schumer telling the entire world what the establishment is and what they intend to do to anyone that comes up against them. Obviously, he was trying to send a not so subtle message to Donald Trump at the time. We are all lucky enough to know that he did not back down, obviously, and somehow won against these intelligence agencies. But the fact is, this is not the way that any elected official in our country should ever be speaking. I think it's embarrassing on the world stage to know that elected officials who have been around, as long as Chuck Schumer has would speak this way and would try to inadvertently threaten the American people and anyone that wants to come up against the institutions in this country that we all have a lot of questions about, right? There's a reason that any kind of faith and trust these institutions has gone down. There's a reason people elected Donald Trump, is to take on these institutions and the rot that has piled up inside of them. I think it's shameful that that clip exists, but I'm also very grateful for that moment because I think it opened up a lot of people's eyes who may not have realized what was happening to Donald Trump at the time and why, and completely understood the reality of all of our worlds at that point when they knew that Donald Trump was being targeted because he was supporting the American people and going up against this establishment.
Elizabeth Pipko, former GOP national spokeswoman, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.